Okay, so oops, let me zoom out. This is the motor. Uh, so it was running. It got stuck. The back wheel was spinning. I revved it up, and then when it came down to an idle, it sounded like it was knocking like no other. And it was just really, really loud. And I was like, "That's really odd," just out of the blue, this really, really extremely loud knock. Then I was riding it back up to the house, and it sounded like it threw a rod. It made this awful noise, and it stalled. I was like, well, that was quick. It didn't knock for that long. And then it just blew. But you see, I don't know if you can tell in the, yep, yeah, you can see it in the video. The rod didn't go. It's actually still really, really tight. But you probably can't see it, or you might, yeah, you can probably see it. A little white mark there and a little white mark there. Now, what those aren't telling me is that the valves were hitting the piston. And you can see on the edge of the, or just a sec. See on the edge of the valves how it's all like white right there, because all the buildup had been tapped off from it, like banging against the top of the piston. So then, uh, let me find all the pieces. But yeah, when I pulled the top of the valve cover off, I found this. Oops. And it's just the rocker arm's fine. Yeah. Rocker arm's fine, but the mount that holds it had the ear broke off or whatever. See? So that just tells me that it had jump time, which was told me something was up with the cam gear, the cam, which is what I kind of figured. But it tells me something was up with that, and then when the push rod tried to push the valve up and it was against the piston, it just cocked it up like that. Just kind of broke that off. And that's why it stalled and sounded like it threw a rod, because you had all this stuff sliding around in the top of the cylinder head. And it was really hard to pull over because you'd come up on compression and the valves would just barely be touching the top of the piston. And it'd be just enough to where it was really stiff once you got that last little bit. Yeah, there's nothing you can really see in there. I was trying to see if it left any marks or anything in the side here, because I'd imagine it would ding it up pretty good. There's only one little tiny, tiny, tiny mark. And it's right there, that little ding, which really surprised me. Yeah, that's all that. But so I'll show you what happened to the cam gear on the crank. Oops. This is what's left of it. It wasn't in two pieces when I took it out, though. It just this little piece had come off. And then the knocking noise was because this was starting to split apart, and the keyway was getting bigger, and it was knocking against the keyway, and it was going bang, bang, bang. And the reason it was being stiff to pull over in that one spot was because where the gears line up, and it came to that one spot with the broken keyway, and it was being bent apart, the gears would mesh like that, and then if you pulled it hard, it'd kind of slide into place and keep going. But it was bent, it was starting to split, and then I took it off, and it just broke in my hand. So yeah, really all I'd need is a new cam gear and a new rocker arm mount. But I went on eBay, typed in Mitsubishi 6 horsepower, and nothing came up, not one thing. And I'll show you too. I thought this was just like one of those cheap Chinese motors, but as you can see, it's actually like a legitimate Mitsubishi because it has the Mitsubishi symbol there, which means one of those I don't really care about the paint on this too much. It means one of those cheap Chinese motors most likely would not help me as far as parts go. I could like try to go to like a small engine shop and be like, hey, can you order this? But I don't know if they could or not. But because yeah. Anyway, the rod has like no play in it. I mean, really, this is a pretty high quality motor. I mean, it's right up there with Honda. I mean, really, I'm quite surprised. I started easy, ran smooth, but the governor never worked when I had it. So, I mean, I could really wind it out, and it's still, like you say, got no play in anything. The rod's real nice and tight on it. There's no noise. Nothing really happened except for the cam gear right where the keyway is, because it's thinner right there. There's a little notch cut in it for the keyway. That means it's weaker right there. And I had it up to about 5,000, 6,000 RPM, and that just kind of cracked. And then it went downhill from there, but it still ran. I mean, if that hadn't broken in half when I had it, I probably could have welded the gear back together. And just kind of half-assed the valve thing together and got some more time out of it, but oh well. I'd really like to fix it, but most likely I won't be able to. So I'll probably just find another engine. But I don't know if I'll just get one of those like cheap Harbor Freight $100 ones, or put that one on it, because that mini bike is a piece of shit. That's a 5-horse Briggs, and it has the right bolt pattern thing. Those 4 bolts, so I can mount the jack shaft thingy that this has on it onto that motor, and it probably would be fit in perfectly. Because I mean, it's getting some wear. I mean, it's the keyway where the thing went, and you can see it's starting to get wallowed out. But I mean, really, it's in pretty good shape. I mean, so what if that's a little wallowed out? I could probably have that welded up and then recut that tooth thing in there. But made sure to keep all the bolts so I can get it back together if I ever do get parts, because I'd really like to get this motor running again. But if I do, it probably won't be soon, because I've got this car I'm trying to do something with. I've got the Corvair I'm working on. I mean, granted, this would be a pretty big priority if I get parts, and I could probably do it in like half an hour, have it running again, but whatever. I don't know. I'll just have to see if I can get parts. If I could get parts, that'd be cool. Or if anybody has one of these, or they have a clone motor, and they want to send me the valve parts that I need, or the cam gear, just to see if it'd fit, tell me. That'd be really cool. Okay, I'm gonna end this video. It's getting pretty long.